Hey history buffs, stop scrolling. Today, we're diving into a lesser-known but absolutely fascinating story from world history. Let's talk about the map that saved an entire continent. Yes, you heard that right, a humble map. This is the story of how a fragile piece of parchment made from sheepskin stopped what could have been one of the greatest conflicts in the history of humanity. Intrigued? Let's go back to the 1700s. A time when borders were little more than suggestions and nations scrambled for land, resources, and control. At the center of our story sits the great Habsburg Empire. It was vast, powerful, but also a ticking time bomb of territorial disputes. One of their most significant worries was the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans, dominant, ambitious, and just inches away on the map, had their own designs on some key territories. With lands abutting each other, boundary disputes weren't just arguments over borders. They were potential precursors to full-blown wars. And at a time when war meant swords, cannons, and death tolls in the hundreds of thousands, avoiding conflict was vital. Enter a man named Luigi Ferdinando Marsigli, a name that hasn't graced too many textbooks, but is key to this story. Marsigli was not your average diplomat or military man. He was a polymath, a combination of geographer, cartographer, and passionate scientist, and he believed that knowledge, not violence, was the best way to solve disputes. In the early 1700s, tasked with navigating an incredibly tense boundary line between Habsburg and Ottoman territories, Marsigli undertook a daring mission. His goal? To chart the Danube River in the most precise way imaginable. Historically, rivers were natural boundaries, and disagreements about where those boundaries lay could make or break treaties. Marsigli's operation was no easy feat. Armed with primitive instruments like compasses, rulers, and sextants, he and his team navigated the Danube's treacherous bends, rapids, and swamps. Imagine schooner-like boats floating on rough waters, while men scrawled measurements and sketches by candlelight. The accuracy they achieved was astonishing for their time, and the result? Marsigli's map became arguably the most definitive depiction of the Danube ever made, or even imagined, at the time. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. During a critical diplomatic standoff, this very map served as the groundwork for negotiations between the Habsburg Emperor Leopold I and Sultan Ahmed III of the Ottoman Empire. The disputes over territories near the Danube were red hot. And yet, when both sides examined Marsigli's map, something remarkable happened. You see, his dedication to scientific precision left little room for debate. The Ottomans could see exactly where certain regions began and ended, just as the Habsburgs could. The map was so neutral, so detailed, and so ahead of its time that it became undeniable proof in brokering peace. And because of its sheer accuracy, the Treaty of Passarowitz in 1718, one of history's major accords, leaned on this very map to solidify its terms. This accord avoided a potentially devastating war and set the foundation for relative peace between the two empires that would last decades. Today, Marsigli's map is housed in a museum, but its legacy isn't etched solely in paper. It's written in the peaceful coexistence it helped foster. It's a compelling reminder of the power of knowledge and the impact even the smallest tools, a map in this case, can have on shaping history. What would have happened without this map? One shudders to think. So next time you open Google Maps or pull out a road atlas, remember, you're participating in a tradition that once saved a continent from chaos. How's that for fascinating history?